This is a short podcast that provides additional clarification and explanation of your first assessment task. What you're going to be doing is working in groups to produce a professional learning resource that will teach the rest of the class in an online setting how to use selected digital technology applications. In those groups, you'll be allocated or will get to choose a digital technology application from a list that I've provided to your teachers. And then what you will need to do is to provide engaging activities on the online resource that you create that describe the key features of the application and assist them in mastering the basic functionalities of that application. So the idea is that in groups, you actually teach each other in an online space how to use a wide variety of digital applications that are suitable and can be used in meaningful ways across different discipline areas. Some of you might get worried about this whole idea of teaching each other online. It's not that scary. What you'll be doing is producing a Google Site web page. This is the online environment that you'll be using to teach each other about the digital applications. And it's a Google site that I've created. I've shared it with all of you who are enrolled in the course, so it's something that you may have already had a quick look at. I've provided 2 examples that we'll be looking at and playing with in class. It contains a description of some applications that I have researched. It contains some YouTube videos, information, examples. It also contains some ideas for how we might use these comic making applications in the classroom. And I also here give you a task to do. It's a fairly simple task. It's simply choose one of these examples and create a comic book. And it's that sort of thing that I want you to do. You need to come up with a reason for your peers to actually use the application. Give them something engaging that will entice them to play with the application and produce something using the application. And in doing so, master the basic functionality of the application. As teachers, we don't need to know every single button, every single bell and whistle that comes with an app. We need to know its basic functionality though, so that we can design learning activities that make use of its affordances. We'll be talking about that more in class. So your task is to create an engaging activity where your peers can master the basic functionalities and understand the affordances of a particular app for use in their classroom. So this section of the assignment description outlines the elements that must be present on the page that you will add to the Google site I've just illustrated. First off, a description of the application and its purpose. What's it for? What are you trying to achieve with this? Examples of current classroom application. How are schools already using this? So it requires you to do a little bit of research. Identify relevant resources that might help your peers understand more about this particular app and its use in classrooms. So in the example, as I just said, I've given some YouTube video tutorials on how to use it. Some videos that I've found about how schools are currently using it and why it's so good. You need to discuss any implications for safe and ethical use of the application. For example, if you're using something like Twitter, which I highly recommend, what are the implications of how you might use that, for example, in a Year 9 classroom or in a primary school classroom? There are quite strong implications for that. I want you to show us the activities that you've designed to engage your peers. So in the example that I just showed you, it was a pretty simple, not particularly engaging activity. Choose one of these and do it. try and think of something that will entice your peers. The final element of the web page on the Google site will be a feedback and question mechanism. How you do that is going to be up to you. It could be that you use the particular app that you're teaching, or you could use the discussion section of the web page that's provided. Up to you. But there needs to be an opportunity for your peers to be able to ask questions of clarification and to discuss the implications of the application for learning. So that's a really key part. The related issue is that in class, I want to allocate about a 15-minute time block for each group to lead an informal discussion. It's not a presentation, it's an informal discussion that draws on some of the points that the students might have raised with you or posted onto that site, or issues that you've identified. But it's a way of us collectively unpacking the pros and cons, the potential uses, the potential pitfalls of these particular apps that you're all going to be engaging in. So that's the assignment. Which brings us to the criteria sheet. The criteria are divided into two sections. A set of criteria relating to the information that you provide on the Google website, and the strategies that you use to engage your peers in learning. So, the Google site, I want to see easily understood and comprehensive descriptions of the technology. I would like to see that you link to and relevant resources that will help people go further with their understanding about this particular app. That could be in relation to how to use the app or ideas for integrating the app into teaching and learning contexts. If you are providing links, which you should do, make sure that you annotate the links. A list of links doesn't help people understand why they should go to a particular resource that you've identified. So give them a little bit of a heads up about what they would expect to see in those particular links. I'd like you to examine and explain how the app might be used in a school setting. So come up with some innovative ideas or locate innovative ideas. Make your web page visually appealing and take note of your spelling, grammar and punctuation. Tick off that you've outlined implications for safe and ethical use of this particular application. I'd also like to see some evidence of the cooperation or collaboration that's occurred within your group to make sure that each group member has been making a meaningful and reasonably fair contribution to the work of the group. It's really important that you develop engaging and effective strategies to teach the application. In the example that I showed you, mine was fairly simple and fairly basic and will probably score a pass in terms of engagement level. Simply providing a list of things to choose from, do one of these, not so engaging. So come up with some more creative ways to engage your peers in online learning. Your peers should have been easily able to develop a good understanding of the main features of the app as a result of the activities you ask them to engage in. It's also important in this activity that you elicit questions and feedback from your peers about the app. How you do that is up to you. So it could be that you do something within the Google site page or something in a different location online as a way to engage your peers in a discussion around the features of this particular app. We'll also be doing that in class, so think carefully about the sorts of questions that you might ask that will elicit ideas from your peers that you can incorporate into your own understanding and their understanding of the inherent affordances of the app for your teaching and learning. Hope that's all clear.